Hi there, welcome to my channel. I've decided to do this guide on how to keep chickens for people who are in two minds on whether to buy some or not, but might not know too much about it all. So in this guide I'm going to keep things nice and simple and draw on my own experiences of keeping chickens, and hopefully by the end of the video you'll be in a much better position to decide whether you think it's right for you. So this video is going to be split into 4 parts. The first one is going to be what you need. So we're going to be covering the basics of what you need to get up and running. The second is going to be a buying guide. So where do you buy chickens? What do you look for? How much? The third is how much time and money you're going to need to invest in keeping chickens. So that includes the day-to-day looking after them, the initial setup, how much it costs sort of from week to week, month to month, and again the initial costs in getting up and running and getting everything bought. And the fourth is going to be frequently asked questions. So I've got a list of common questions that gets asked all the time, and some sort of not so common ones as well. So we're just going to go through all of that, and hopefully by the end of the video your mind's going to be sort of a little bit clearer, and hopefully you'll be on your way to getting your own chickens. So I've had 2 stints of looking after chickens. The first was when I lived at home, my parents' house, and I had 5 hens then. And when I moved out, they had to let them go, so a rescue organisation came to basically take them away and look after them. Second is now, so I've got an allotment which is just out the back there. I've got 4 hens, and it's fair to say from the first time looking after them I learned so much, so second time around now I'm doing things so much better. Not that the first time was particularly bad, but obviously the more you do things the more you learn. So basically this video is just to teach you and show you the best ways to look after chickens, and with practical advice. That's the most important thing. I'm going to try my best not to give you textbook answers. Sometimes it's necessary, some theory involved in keeping them and things is obviously a fact, but I want to get sort of into that day-to-day looking after them. So what you're going to need, so the first thing, well, you've got to ask yourself the question first, is where you're going to keep them. Do you have a garden or do you have an allotment? So you're going to obviously need to know how much space you've got. So that's your first question, but whichever you're choosing, you're going to need a run. So coop or run, it's the same sort of thing. It's basically where the chickens are going to scratch around and wander around and basically spend the day. So the size recommendations is 1 square metre per hen, not including the actual house where they sleep and lay the eggs. So we're just talking about the run and the coop here. So 1 square metre per hen. Now personally I don't think that's very much. My coop, it's sort of roughly 2 square metres per hen. That's a lot better if you've got the space. If you haven't got the space, then you can get away with 1 square metre, but I prefer to give them as much space as possible. So you've got to consider the size and the design as well. So my first coop, when I was at my parents', it was about, I made mesh panels. I've done the same thing again, but made them bigger this time. So the first time around I had mesh panels that they were around 4 foot in height. So, and I had an old like sort of football net over the top, so with a gate, so I had to duck down, and it wasn't very good at all, to be honest. It wasn't very practical. It just became a hassle every time I wanted to go in, which seems obvious now, but yeah, you learn anyway. Yeah, so now I'll put some pictures up of when I was building them. So I built it myself basically, and I've got links below, the mesh I used and sort of the list of materials and things. It was simple enough to do, just took a bit of time. No sort of special skills needed or anything. Anyone can do it. But anyway, so now they're about, I'd say about 6 foot high, which is about 1.8 metres by 1 metre wide. So I basically made each panel the same, just so it was easy. So 1 metre wide by 1.8 metres tall, and you just line them up so it's in a square. So 3 panels on each side, line them up, screw them together, and then you've got your run. So the second thing is the actual house, so the hen house. So this is where the chickens are going to lay their eggs and sleep. Pretty much that's the only time they'll go in the house. So I bought mine, I think from Amazon, flat packed. You might read 1 or 2 things about buying flat packed hen houses and the quality, but I've still got the same one, and it must be about 7 or 8 years old now. It's fine. The only thing I did have to replace was the pulley out drawer. So in the main bit of the house you'll have the perches where, well, they're supposed to stay at night. Sometimes they sleep in the nest boxes. It doesn't really matter, but ideally you want them in the main bit of the house, so because they poo a lot at night when they sleep. So the idea is to have a pulley out drawer underneath the perches, and so you can basically clean it out easy. So I just had to replace the bottom bit of the drawer just with wood. So simple. So that's the only thing. Apart from that, I can see it lasting another 5 years. How much space do the hens need on the perch? Not that much really. So they'll sleep on the perch and they'll huddle together to keep warm. So I'd say each hen needs around 30 centimetres of perch. Standard houses you normally get sort of between 4 and 6 hens. 6 is a bit of a squeeze unless it's specified as 6, so that's a bit bigger, but a lot of houses will say 4 to 6. Really it's just for 4. 6 is a squeeze. So you've got the perches, and then either side of mine you've got nest boxes. So obviously this is where every day the hens are going to go in and lay their eggs. It tends to be 1 hen per nest box. Some designs will be split, so you'll have a big nest box split in 2, so 2 hens can get in there. My specific one, it's basically 1 nest box either side, and you can get 1 hen in at the same time. As I say, they do sleep in them, mine, because they're ex-battery hens. So I think they're used to sleeping on the floor, not the perches. So I'm happy with that. I'm not going to discourage them from sleeping in there. They've probably had a hard life, so I'm happy with that. So they squeeze up there, but I think when they're laying though, they only go 1 at a time. So yeah, so flat pack's fine. Price range, I think I paid about £200 brand new. You can get them second hand, and that's fine as long as they're in decent condition. As I say, they last a while, so you can shop around and get them cheaper than that, but I wanted brand new. So I think I paid about £200 at the time, which was 7 or 8 years ago. So you've got your house, you've got your run. The next things are the feeder and the drinker. So obviously both essential. Now for 4 hens, the drinker, I like to say sort of 1 litre per hen. You know, I've got 4 hens. I've just bought an 8 litre drinker. I used to have I think it was a 3 litre, 3 or 4 litre one, which was fine, but in the summer I did have to fill it up twice because they drink a lot more in the summer. So I thought, well, I'll invest in a big one now, and come the summer I can fill it right at the top each morning, and then I'll not need to go back over again part way through the day to fill up. The feeder, lots of different types, lots of different sizes. It doesn't particularly matter unless you're getting sort of 8+ hens. When you're getting onto that scale, you want the bigger ones, or you want a series of smaller ones. Now if you're supplementing the food with sort of greens and snacks and bits and pieces, the standard size is going to be fine for 4 hens. So normally what I do is just put 2 scoops in every day, and that's enough for 4 hens. So that leads us on to the food and what they eat. So usually it's Lay's pellets. These are just, as the name sort of suggests, little pellets. To be honest, I'm not sure what they have in them, but it's packed with all the sort of nutrients and things what they need. Now I used them up until a couple of months ago because I did get as a sort of snack corn that I used to give them a handful every day. So I was at the pet shop once and I saw that you could buy big bags of mixed feed, so that included the Lay's pellets, but it also included corn and a couple of other bits, so I thought I'd try that out. So that was not long ago, and the egg production seemed to go up. Now I don't know if that was coincidence or not, but I've stuck with it anyway, and that was through the winter as well, so the dark nights, because they need light to lay eggs. So it's the amount of daylight needed to lay the eggs. So yeah, so I just thought I'd stay with it, and it's good. It's a bigger bag as well, and I think it's a little bit cheaper. It might be the same price, I can't remember. Not much. It's about £8 for a 20kg sack. That lasts me around a month, just under. Yeah, so that's fine. You want to be around about £8 or £9 a sack for 15 to 20 kilograms. So another thing which is closely linked to food is grit and oyster shell. So you can also use crushed up eggshells as well. You might have heard that. You have to put them in the oven first. You can't just crush the normal sort of shells up. You have to slowly cook them, basically. Just a note on the floor as well, the coop. There's a couple of different things you can do. I like wood chip because it looks a bit neater and it's a bit sort of cleaner and a bit better, and you can scratch on it quite well. You can leave it as bare earth, and again they'll scratch in that and they'll sort of churn it up, and that's fine. Anything there, if you build your coop on top of grass, you know, or weeds or whatever, and put your hens in there, within sort of 2 or 3 months that will all be gone, pecked back, eaten, and it'll be down to bare earth anyway. So bare earth or chippings, you shouldn't really put them on paving slabs or gravel or anything like that. It's just too harsh. They like to peck and get in the soil and scratch about, and obviously you can't do that with gravel or pavings. Bedding. So this is just for the nest box. A couple of options here. I'll go for your general sort of shavings, general pet shavings that you can get at any pet store. Must be dust extracted. That's the only thing, because chickens can't breathe very well. I buy that every 6 weeks for £3 or £4, so absolutely fine, lasts ages. And every day when I get rid of the poo, I just put a little sprinkle on top, and that's fine. Other alternatives include shredded paper, but you will find you'd go through quite a lot of paper. So unless you've got mounds of paper coming in and a decent shredder as well, you'd have to have a good shredder. Then that might be the way to go, but personally I don't think it would be for me. Another thing is straw as well, which a lot of people use. That's fine. Similar sort of principle, you just have to top it up every few days or every day, or some people leave it once a week. I don't particularly like that because it just get a bit messy and a bit pooey, and it's not really fair, I don't think, to leave them in those conditions. But I use the normal bedding anyway, the wood shavings. So if you have all those things, you can pretty much get started. There's a few extras to consider. So the first would be cider vinegar. It's basically a natural wormer and just helps in sort of the general health of the hens, kills off any sort of mild infections and things like that. So you want to, maybe once a month, pop a little bit in the drink one day for a week, and that's fine. The next thing is mite powder. Now, hens are prone to having red mite, which is basically tiny little mites that suck the blood of the hens, and if you get a nasty infestation, it can actually kill the chickens. So regular cleaning of the coop's essential. Sort of twice a year, thorough clean, and then, as I say, just keeping on top of the poo, scooping it out and things, and topping up with nice bedding. Mite powder though, you can put that on the bedding, so just a sprinkle, it's like dust, so when a mite walks through it, I think it does something to the respiratory system and it kills them. So that's a good thing to mix up with the bedding. Next thing is poultry shield, which is basically a cleaning product for the hen house, so when you are cleaning it, just spray it with that. So the next thing is a dust bath. You can pop a dust bath in the coop, so you can have a large plant pot or a large bucket or something, fill it up with sand, maybe about that much off the floor, so the chickens will hop in there and they'll give themselves a little bath, basically scratch about, and it's a natural way of getting rid of any mites and things as well, so that's good. They will do this naturally though in the soil, so you don't have to have a bath in there. They will scratch about and dig a hole for themselves. Yeah, so that's it for part one. I feel like I've rambled a little bit there, so I hope it hasn't been too bad and you've actually gained something from the video. If you have, give it a thumbs up below, hit the subscribe button as well. This is a brand new YouTube channel, and as I say, I've got an allotment, I keep chickens, and I do little builds, sort of how-to builds and things in the allotment in the garden as well. So if you subscribe, I'm basically going to be uploading everything I do. My aim is to provide you with lots of videos and content. So if that sounds like it's for you, as I say, hit subscribe and hit the notification bell as well. That'll notify you of any time I upload a video, and any help trying to grow my channel is really appreciated. Also, everything I talk about in this video, there'll be links below, materials I use and things I suggest. There are Amazon affiliate links, so if you do click on one and buy something from Amazon, if you buy the product, I will get a little bit of commission. It's not going to cost you anything extra, you just pay for it as normal. I get a little bit of commission from Amazon, which just helps sort of keep the channel going. It's massively appreciated, so thanks very much for that. So join me in part 2 where I'll be telling you all about how to buy chickens, so where to buy them, how much to buy them for, and what you should be looking for when you do buy them, plus much more.